Can we get the Snapchat filters on
On dolphins?
On dolphins. So you go to like SeaWorld, take a picture with a dolphin, you both get flower crowns.
They get dolphin-specific facial recognition. Hello and welcome to What's on the Fourth Floor. I'm your host, Carter Walford, together with my co-hosts,
Taylor Billington.
Rebecca Fitzgerald.
We're going to get right into it with some What's With That. I think we're going to have a bunch of little gripes for our What's With That today. Maybe not gripes, but little questions and quandaries. As we physicists do, we question things. So I think Rebecca has some questions for us today.
Yes.
What do you got for us?
So, for What's With That, I found a very interesting hypothetical question that I'd like to pose to you guys today.
I do love hypotheticals.
So, say you find a book and you begin to read only to discover that the book is your life. And you get to the point that you're at right now. So you get to the page where it's like, oh, you're recording a podcast. Do you turn the page knowing that you are not able to change the events to come? Or do you just stay in the moment and not take that chance to look ahead?
Okay, so we're sort of incorporating fate into this, that whatever you read will happen.
Yeah, you can't change it, but you'll know what's going to happen.
I think I would turn the page and read the sentence that says, and she turned the page, and then I would stop. Just to get the satisfaction of knowing that it says that.
That would be exciting. But reading beyond that, do you think you would live out your whole life? That'd take a long time to read. The rest of the book would just be, if you read the whole thing, the rest of the book would just be, and then she read the book and kept reading the book and kept reading the book.
For the rest of your life,
because it would be like a one-to-one length.
Now, the point of the question is just, I don't think it's meant to be you're just stuck reading this book forever.
Do you want to know how your life's going to
happen
turn out
next? Like, if you're about to die in like 10 minutes, do you want to know that? Or do you want to just go into it completely ignorant?
Yeah, I think I like the surprise of life. But I can see, I'm going to sort of play devil's advocate then. I can see how you would want to maybe be mentally prepared for bad things that happen. And just, it would be easier to move on from a tragedy if you knew it was going to happen and you had time to sort of prepare yourself for it.
But at the same time, if you know that you're going to do something, or at least that's what I think of. So if you know that you're about to do something incredibly stupid, like if you're going to say something to like a teacher and it just comes out wrong, and I know it's going to happen, that's going to be all I can think about leading up to it, which is going to make it that much worse.
Because it's inevitable.
Because you know it's going to happen, you can't change it, rather than it surprises you, and then it just
It's like sometimes late at night when you're laying in bed and you think about, oh, remember that dumb thing you said a year ago?
Exactly.
You'll now think, remember that dumb thing you're going to say in a year?
And you know that it's going to happen.
I think
that would be awful.
I don't think I would read it past what has happened. I think I would keep it and then use it as like a memory source, sort of, like to recount what actually happened. Because we know that like human memory is not reliable.
Yeah.
So it could just be like a plain fact, this is what has happened in your life.
Yeah. And I wonder if I could go back and read parts that I thought were awful, like maybe, messing up and saying something wrong. And then when I go back and reread it, I think, oh, well, it wasn't that bad.
And
I'll
say, literally no one else cared.
Objectively.
Yeah, is it from your own perspective, or is it like an objective, like omnipresent, like...
I guess I assumed it would be kind of like third person, instead of saying like, oh, I did this, rather than be like, oh,
and then this
so-and-so did this.
Yeah.
So you kind of have like an outsider's view of yourself.
I think so.
Which is sort of calling back to the clone discussion almost a little bit.
A little bit. But in book form.
In our last, for Rebecca, who wasn't here for the last recording, we talked about if you met a clone of yourself, would you be friends with it?
Oh, okay.
So we got into this type of situation, which is similar.
Because you would be observing yourself from the outside.
So I think final thoughts, I would not read the book.
Of course, one other thing I want to add is I wonder if you could look at the size of the book and know how much of your life you have left. Because if you're on if you realize you have 2 pages left,
even just looking at it,
that would be a little bit of a giveaway. I wouldn't want that.
But you're definitely right. I couldn't help but think, oh man, am I halfway through? Am I more than half through?
Yeah, because like with this situation, you've already started reading it, and you don't realize till you're to the point where you're at. So you're going to know how much longer you have, regardless of whether you read it or not.
But you can retain the mystery of how
it ends.
Good those last chapters are.
Yeah, I think I would keep the book, but I would use it as like a reference for the past. Keep make sure the bookmark's in the right spot so I don't just open to like 10 years in the future where I
Or
I
do
skip to the
something.
last page.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
that.
that's actually something I do whenever I read a book. The first thing I do is read the last sentence of it. And
You're
so,
one of those people.
yeah, I wonder how that would fare in this situation.
Because it would be like the last sentence, like how you
Could
die.
be, and then
And then it ended.
you got hit by a
So-
bus.
Yeah,
I'd be like, all right, avoid buses, but I can't because I'm gonna get
because
hit.
it's gonna happen. So,
So
Be like a That's So Raven, like you try really hard to avoid the situation that you saw, thus causing the situation that you saw.
it is
yeah.
It's inevitable.
inescapable. But final thoughts, everybody. You would keep the book and read up to the point where you are occasionally.
Just
Rebecca,
for
what would
fun.
you do with the book?
I think I would be too afraid of like reading about me doing something stupid,
Mm-hmm.
so I would just stop because I think it would stress me out too much.
I think
That
to,
does seem stressful.
to continue with tradition, I would read the last sentence, knowing full well that it would be my demise. But I'd still do it because, I'm compulsive about these things. Anyways, moving on, we have another question or what have you from Taylor. What do you got for us?
So it's not as interesting as the last question, and it's probably a pretty short point, but I was thinking about this the other day. So humans don't really have natural selection. Like that's kind of
Yep.
something that we have
Has been phased out.
we phased that out. So do you think we'll ever get to the point where everyone wears glasses?
I have thought about this a lot. I've fielded the question of would you like technologically augment your body? And I was like, I already do that. I wear glasses. That is
Right.
technology sort of augmenting my abilities and capabilities. Everyone wears glasses specifically, maybe not, but
Well, has impaired vision.
has impaired. Oh, okay.
Well,
Like will 20/20 vision go away?
Well, I
Yeah.
don't think so because there's like the technology to improve your vision. I feel like that's gonna get better as
But maybe
well.
But
from,
that's like a retroactive
Genetically,
thing.
from birth, people will be born with very awful eyesight because I guess it depends on, the recessiveness and dominance of these traits. Because nothing selects for poor eyesight, but
But if natural selection was still a thing, I feel like poor eyesight
would be
would
weeded
be
out.
bred out.
Yeah, because those with poor eyesight would be more likely to die.
Yeah.
But
Right.
now
There
it doesn't really affect you as much.
Are and definitely will continue to be more people with poor eyesight than there would be, in the state of nature in the wild.
Right.
Hmm.
But I like the technological advancements have sort of replaced natural selection in human society. We sort of advance ourselves through knowledge and glasses. And I can see one day everyone, maybe from birth, maybe not, having sort of an eye implant that, makes them able to see better forever.
Mhm.
And
So from that point on, it doesn't really matter.
yeah, it
what you're
doesn't matter
born
how
with.
poor you're.
And then there's,
vision is.
people who wear glasses for fun. And then also,
Mm.
like, Google Glass, something like that, ever
Mm-hmm.
gets more popular in the future, we'll be wearing glasses to connect to the internet
Hmm.
instead of actually trying to see
And
better.
Glasses for fun is something I never really understood.
As
style.
goofy, yeah, as goofy as Google Glass looks, the idea is sound. I think this is
Mhm.
going to be something that catches on eventually.
Maybe. Or they'll make a better version of it that
Yeah.
catches on better.
But just like the general idea of putting something around your eyes that you sort of augmented reality, I guess is the word for it, is something that's going to happen. I predict.
And
anyways.
then, there's virtual reality headsets too,
Mhm.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And,
Like that's stuff that is already happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But those are a bit overly large and clunky to be just walking around with currently.
that could improve in the future.
Yeah.
They'll be very stylish when it's in fashion.
Mhm.
They'll just become like visors like Geordi in Star Trek.
And we come full circle. We just talked about, I love this. Anyways, I have a bit of a problem that we're moving on now.
Mhm.
I'm instigating the next topic. I have a bit of a problem in that, we're all arts and sciences majors here. And in the Art College of Arts and Sciences here at UNL, you have to take a foreign language class or have already taken a foreign language class.
4
Are
years
either-
worth.
Yeah. Are either of you currently in a foreign language class?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a foreign language as my minor. Yeah.
I am, for my foreign language, taking ancient Greek. And currently I'm in a situation where if I write a word down in a pencil, it is much more likely to be in Greek than English. And it's sort of messing with me in that when I write down English sentences, Greek word order is strange, and I'm sort of writing down English sentences backwards and putting Greek letters in when I'm writing English notes. I don't know if it's making my writing worse, but it is definitely affecting me. And I'm wondering if you guys have this sort of problem where other languages bleed into your English.
With the point that you were making, it doesn't help that you're in classes that use Greek symbols
Yes.
Like physics.
very heavily.
I often joke sort of to myself that if someone in my own personal hell, I am going to be abused by the Greek alphabet forever. That will be what happens to me if and when I go to hell. It's because of Greek class and all of the Greek symbols being used in physics. It is a very prevalent part of my life right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking German currently because that's what I've been studying for several years now. And I know the biggest problem I have is spelling English words when German word is similar but different, like uncle. In German is like Onkel. So I always have to stop and think, like, how does the L and the E go in English? And like guitar is really similar. Music, they have a lot of K's for C's. So like word order is fine for me, but spelling is much harder than it used to be.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I was never good at spelling in the first place in sort of grade school and what have you. And so
Yeah, I'm not a spelling
putting in
person.
other forms of spelling and phonics is really messing
And when
me up.
it's so similar, but it's not the same, that's when it gets much more difficult.
And we sort of live in a world where spelling is very unimportant, because you can just look up how a word is spelled if you know even generally how it sounds.
Spelling is also seen as like a sign of intelligence.
Yes.
Like if you're not good at spelling, people don't think you're as smart.
If you write a paper and have misspelled words in it, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to look like you don't know. You're not as professional.
Or you just don't take the time to figure it out.
And you just ignore spell check.
So I am in a French class right now. I'm in French 2, the equivalent of it's the second year of French. But in high school, I took 3 years of German, and I don't remember a lot of German. So, like if I wanted to just say something in German, I wouldn't be able to unless I'm trying to think of the same sentence in French.
Okay.
So if we were to have a conversation in German, you'd have to kind of be thinking in French too.
You'd have to walk it through the French?
Well, no, it's more I will be trying to think of words in French that I know in French, and a German word will just come up in my mind.
The same word?
The same word in German will come up because I think my brain just categorizes it as a different way to say this thing that I know in English.
These are the other ways to say apple or whatever.
And it just kind of mushes together.
Yeah. So like,
interesting.
Like I remember very distinctly in French 1 last semester, I was reading a sentence out loud to the class in French. It was like a response that I had to the question. And the French word for and is et, it's et. And while looking at the French sentence on the page, I said und.
Yes, which is German for and.
Which is German for and. And I don't think anyone else caught it, but I in that moment, I felt like I died.
It's interesting how, once you take several years of a foreign language and it sort of becomes part of your thinking, how the brain sort of just intermingles all of these things.
Right.
And sort of automatically, I read one word, but I say another, which is not even English. It's just, I think it's interesting how the brain sort of mixes all of these things and has them
and I've noticed
together.
For me, especially in class, I'm getting a lot better at thinking in German, which is really helpful when you have to like talk a lot on the fly. If you can kind of get your brain into the other language mode.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to think in English and translate it. You're supposed to think
come up with it
in that language.
Yeah.
That's sort of a mark of being sort of good at it. But moving on from languages, I have another. This is almost a hypothetical question, but it's something that happened to me, so it's not so hypothetical. I was recently on the phone with a Husker Tech representative as my laptop screen was broken. And I was just asking various questions. How much is it going to cost? When is this going to be repaired? All of that. At the end of the conversation, I came to a crossroads that I still think about, and I have been thinking about for days and hours of the day. When you're on the phone with sort of customer support, this isn't someone you're calling, for a social call. This is something you have to do. Do you say goodbye at the end of the phone call before you hang up?
I don't. I usually just say thanks. Thanks for all your help, and then I just kind of hang up. leave it.
What was very weird was because the man on the other end of the phone did say goodbye, and I was like, do I say goodbye back?
See, I have a bad habit of saying see ya,
Yeah.
which
Is just
that's
not
not
true.
going to happen.
Yeah,
I
not
don't
see
know
you.
this person.
I feel like that's better than saying love you accidentally, though.
Ooh, I've never done that.
I've heard of it happening. I've never done it
That
either.
would be awful.
Yeah, ooh.
That'd be one of the things in the book that you don't want to read about.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, I'm
'Cause then
going to
you know
say
what's
this.
going to happen. And like the whole call, you'd be thinking about it.
I did not say goodbye, and then I have spent several hours sort of rationalizing this to myself. First of all, this is a business transaction. This is a pseudo exchange of goods and services, and once it's over, I don't have to do pleasantries to you. It is over now, and it's done. I'm hanging up.
So did he say goodbye and then you just hung
He
up?
said goodbye, and I hung up.
Okay.
Which at first I was like, was that rude? And then I had to sort of obsessively think about it for a long time. And also, and this is where I have come to peace with not saying goodbye to this man. I have reached my chi or what. If I said goodbye to this man in customer support, it would devalue every goodbye I have ever said and will ever say to someone who is actually close to me and I say goodbye to at the end of a phone call. If I call my brother and say goodbye, and I say goodbye to customer support people, the goodbye isn't special anymore. It's it is lost value because I say it to everybody. But if I only say it to people who I actually know and talk to for a reason, it means more.
Do you not value customer support?
Well, not as much as people in my family or my friends that I'm talking to for social reasons.
Okay.
Do you get me?
I understand what you're saying, but like I've never thought of it in that way of
like the value of the goodbye.
Yeah, I can't help but think about the economy of words. I think about this a lot in a lot of different
it means
facets.
more the less you say it.
Yes. And so, that's why I didn't say goodbye to this customer support man. Am I a rude, awful person?
No.
Probably not.
Nice.
I'm sure I'm assuming he. Yeah.
Yes, it was,
you said man.
I have
yeah.
said man, yes. It was a he.
I'm sure as someone who has worked with the public before, he has had several worse interactions and will literally never think about
to be fair,
you hanging up on him.
Because you're not
like
cussing him out as you hang up the phone.
No, it was very
which is
the conversation on the whole was very polite and nice, and it went fine. So I guess you're right. On the scale of things that could happen, this wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But I'm also sure that he listens to the podcast, so
now he knows. He's gonna keep thinking about it.
Husker Tech representative, I do value you as a good and/or service, but not in a social way.
I keep thinking of, so when I worked at a movie theater, I would answer calls occasionally and, help people on the other end of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think now about how I always ended it. And I don't think I ever said goodbye. I would just see if they had anything else to say and let them hang up first.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was just both of us awkwardly hanging on, and I would just
Which makes a lot of sense, because if you're the sort of support person, you don't want to hang up on them while they still have questions. And that's another thing I was going, who has the burden of wrapping up the conversation in these scenarios?
Definitely the person who called first.
The person who called.
It doesn't matter what situation you're in. I think whoever called first has the reason to call the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a slight variation on this question. When I go to sign up for classes, I'll talk to one of my what are they called?
Academic advisors.
Academic advisors.
Those people.
So one of those people. And in this situation, there's this sort of asymmetry of knowledge. I don't know what information that the other person has to tell me. And so I almost feel like maybe now it's on them to wrap up. I came to you, but I don't know everything you're going to tell me. So it's on you to wrap up the conversation. Does that make sense?
But they want to know if you have more questions too.
Yeah.
So they don't want to start wrapping up too early in case you have something else unrelated but still important to talk to them about.
I've also thought about these conversations always get very awkward, and this is why, because there's this sort of duality of reasons for one person to not end the conversation, but also the other person. And
I think in the case with like talking to your advisor, it still is on you to end it because they don't know if you're out of questions.
That's fair.
You don't know if they're out of information, but if they have stopped talking, then I would
you can
assume
reasonably assume
that they're out of information.
Yeah, they usually make it clear when they're like giving you kind of what you need to know, because then they'll kind of like pause and be like, is that all? Or they'll see if you want anything else.
These are horrifying situations that I do not want to find myself in, and so I sort of pre-think them out.
Yeah.
What do I do in this scenario?
It is always uncomfortable ending, like, because I've talked to my advisor a couple times, and every time I'm like, okay,
Is there anything else? Can I leave now?
Do you want your door open or closed?
Yeah, you've been a big help. Thank you.
I just say thank you a lot and then just kind of back out of the room and then leave.
And then turn around and run away.
Yeah,
pretty
much.
I always do the I don't know what to say, so I'm not going to say anything, but okay and thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like making faces at them like, all right, thanks.
And, on the topic of wrapping up conversations, we're out of time. We'll be back in a few seconds, listeners, for our next segment in the news. Stick around. And we're back with some more news for you all. We come to us and we provideth the information. And today that provider will be Rebecca. What do you got for us?
It's very exciting. So today we're talking about dolphins, because who doesn't love talking about dolphins?
Dolphins are fun.
So
Very
the
smart.
article is about a dolphin lineup, which means that you can ID a dolphin just by looking at its face, kind of like how humans do. But now you can researchers can look at dolphins at their face and know which dolphin it is.
Nice.
So we have some background. So traditionally with dolphins, scientists have used their fins to kind of distinguish between different dolphins.
That makes sense.
Which can be problematic because notches and marks on their fins will change with time. And calves generally have clean fins. So it changes so quickly that it's not really reliable for being able to track which dolphin is which.
It's like trying to keep track of a person by their haircut.
Exactly, and
They
it
might
changes,
change
and
it.
then it's, who are you anymore? You can't tell.
Which is a thing, face blind people.
Right,
That's a
right.
problem. But
Anyways, so there's some researchers in Italy decided to see if making a lineup with dolphins could show if identifying them by faces would be a better way of doing it. So they took 20 dolphins and they took pictures of the left side and right side of the dolphins' faces. And they made a reference folder, and that had all 20 images of the left side of the dolphin faces. And then they had 2 other folders, each with 10 images, and spread between them were the right side and the left side of the dolphins' faces, kind of randomly. And then they had 20 biologists, and 8 of which had no experience with dolphins whatsoever, and they had them try to identify which dolphin is which by matching their pictures from their smaller folder to this reference.
Okay.
So they had 10 pictures, there were 20 pictures in the reference, they're trying to match which dolphin is which. And they found out that the people did much better than if they had simply been guessing. So
Hey.
the people who didn't work with dolphins were able to identify some dolphins by their faces better than just randomly picking. And then there were 3 who had actually worked with dolphins, and they managed to identify all the dolphins that they had.
Perfectly?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just by looking at the faces. So, and apparently dolphin facial features are recognizable for at least 8 years. So it's much more reliable than fins.
It makes me think of Jane Goodall, because she lived with a group of gorillas, I think, and by the end of however many years I think that was, she knew all of their personalities, she knew their faces,
And I can imagine you could get to know a dolphin personality because they're sort of touted as very intelligent animals.
Right.
So they would have these sort of things. But that'd be super exciting, to just be, working your day job in biology and someone walks up and says, hey, you want to look at dolphins all day?
Yeah, and you get to,
And
and
you
then
get
it's
to.
great.
and then the facial recognition, I feel like, and then you'd feel like you're friends with them,
Yeah.
like you know them.
You're like, hey, I know which dolphin you are.
This
just
is
by
my
looking, and
friend.
It's great.
A dolphin.
I can recognize him. I can recognize my dolphin friends better than my human friends. Is that strange?
Do you think people with face blindness are blind to animals?
Do dolphin faces?
Oh, that's a good question. Because they have a different structural.
Yeah,
makeup than
is
human
it
faces.
the combination of 2 eyes and a nose and a mouth, and that's what makes you unable to see it, or is it
But it might be a
humans
part of your
specifically?
brain.
Careful, you might want to save that for your PhD thesis in psychology.
I don't know if that's what I'll be doing.
But they do think this could work for marine mammals that don't have dorsal fins. So they're thinking maybe they could expand beyond dolphins to see what other animals they could.
So like seals and stuff. What I don't know what doesn't have a
Do
dorsal
whales don't have dorsal fins, do they?
and
I thought-
whales are mammals, so
They are mammals.
Or seals are mammals also, I guess.
Oh, did
Well,
you say
aren't-
more animals?
Just marine mammals.
Marine mammals.
Marine mammals.
Specifically.
Oh, so mammal is a good thing.
So the manatee.
Possibly, yeah.
But yeah, that's fun. I wonder if they can expand this to sort of computer facial recognition software. Can we get the Snapchat filters on
On dolphins?
On dolphins. So
On
you go
dolphins.
to like SeaWorld, take a picture with a dolphin, and you both get flower crowns.
And they get dolphin specific facial recognition little filters.
These are our filters for dolphins only.
If
I
you're
feel
a
like
dolphin,
that would.
you can use them. If you're a human, tough luck.
I feel like that would make people a little upset that they can't
they
use
don't get the dolphin one.
dolphin-specific filters.
You can get a filter that turns you into a dolphin and then
And
apply
then
the
puts a
dolphin
filter on top of
that.
It's genius.
It's-
That's the future.
Put us on the development team at Snapchat. We got good ideas. Speaking of good ideas, Taylor, you have a bit of a something for us.
So I figured I'd lump it in with the news. It's not really a news article that I found, but I guess it'll be new information, hopefully, to you guys and the listeners.
News
So-
to us.
News to us, except for me. But okay. So, you guys, there's sort of like a lot. Cats are very popular. People like cats, you know.
People
Cats
like
are
cats.
fantastic.
There's
in general.
there's sort of a stigma with the crazy cat ladies.
Yes.
Which is sad, because having a lot of cats should not be anything that we look down on. Should be a
Well,
celebration.
Scientists, I don't know how long ago they found this out or how long this has been a thing that they've known about, but crazy cat lady syndrome is a real thing,
hmm
and it is caused by a parasite that exists in cats.
And then goes from the cat to the old lady in this scenario.
To the old lady, yes. So the parasite is called Toxoplasma
Oh no.
gondii. I don't know, Gondii. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Gandhi.
Gandhi. And its typical life cycle, it starts in like a rodent, and it basically, then the cat eats the rodent,
Mhm.
and then they are only capable of reproducing inside of cat intestines. So they need
Mm.
cats as their host, but they get excreted from the cat, so they
Mm.
then go into another creature, which then gets eaten by the cat. And that's sort of the life cycle of this thing. And so to accomplish this, they pretty
Mhm.
much, they have the capability in mice, in any rodents, to influence their behavior, right? Because
Mm.
mice are typically afraid of cats. They avoid them, like they do what they can to not get eaten by a cat. But once they have been infected by this parasite, scientists have found that they wander around more. They just kind of like,
They're a lot less cautious.
they're a
Mhm.
lot less cautious, and they are actually enticed by the smell of cat urine. Like they are
Okay.
attracted to cat urine.
So specifically
So-
Oh.
cats?
Yeah.
Are they attracted to any other animals, or is it-
Nope, they found that their sense of smell is exactly the same. They recognize their litter mates in the same way. They are still afraid of other things that are typically afraid of. But cat urine specifically, they are attracted
I
to
am
it.
very impressed by this parasite and the sort of the fine tuning it has.
Right.
too.
It's and so it's very impressive, and scientists predict that around 50% of the entire world is infected by this parasite.
That's why everyone
Wow.
likes cats.
Right.
See,
And-
I have house cats, so they've never like been around rodents. So I feel like people with a lot of cats that were, always indoor
Outdoor
cats,
cats.
Outdoor
Yeah,
cats
more
and
they
outdoor
just
cats.
generally love cats.
And so what the percentage per country of what they believe has been infected by this parasite differs. Like in the US they think it's around 20%, but in some countries like Brazil they think it's around 60%. And so it wants to do in a human the same thing that it does to the rodent, but it doesn't exactly translate because
Yeah.
it's sort of it's tailor-made
For
to
rats.
affect a rat's brain.
It does make me
So-
wonder what the percentage was like in Egypt, back in ancient Egypt, with the fact that they would
They
worship
worship
cats
cats.
And
Yeah.
I suppose those cats would be even more likely to not be, fed by people, but to hunt for their
to
own.
eat wild
Right.
rodents that might have the parasite. Yeah.
Right. So they actually they have 4 specific things that they know that like how this affects people. So it makes people more neurotic. It gives people worse reaction times. People who are affected by this parasite are 3 times more likely to be in a car accident. And I think it was Switzerland, they found them to be 6 times more likely.
It makes sense if the reaction times are much slower.
Mm-hmm. They also have shorter attention spans, and they are 2 to 3 times more likely to suffer from schizophrenia because the parasite increases dopamine levels in your brain, and that's where all of these...
I'm imagining the sort of crazy cat lady, talking to herself and all of her cats, and this really goes along with the neurosis and schizophrenia.
It fits the
Right.
idea
It
of
fits
it.
the bill.
Right. And so...
Not that if you talk to your pets, you're a crazy person. I'd just like to throw that out there.
Oh, yeah.
But
Everyone does that
you
Of
are
course.
more likely to be affected by a small thing
in your
that is
brain.
making you do this.
But
And
don't think about it too much.
right. So it's like almost impossible to tell if you have it. They don't really have symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a poor immune system, then you might experience like flu-like symptoms for a short time, and then you just most people just they have it and they live their life the same way. They're just slightly affected mentally.
Yeah. If such large populations are affected by it, it must be sort of livable with.
Right.
The number of cats that they own increase once they get the parasite.
Potentially.
That could be not a symptom, but just an effect. Is
Right,
the amount
crazy
of
cat
cats
lady
you
syndrome.
own.
Statistically more likely to buy more cats.
Because the parasite wants to get back into a cat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how it is affecting you. It's trying to make you around cats more. And so
Successfully.
It travels into the brain of the host, and it makes you more likely to it changes your behavior to make you more likely to interact with a cat. And so I guess being more reckless.
So cat
how that-
owners should learn how to harness this parasite. So for all the people who don't like cats, you just set the parasite loose and they'll be much more likely to enjoy cats, right?
But they're also in more car accidents.
Of course,
And
then
more
you have all the
crazy.
bad side effects too, of course.
Sacrifices must be made for cat kind. We have to assimilate the world into all cat
I
lovers.
mean, I think cats are trying to take over the world anyways, so this is probably also how they're doing it.
I mean, if not cats, then this parasite that's using cats as its host. So
That's true. I guess it's not the cat's fault, it's the parasite's fault.
Yeah, who's the real parasite? Is it a symbiotic relationship maybe with the cats and the parasite? They know.
the cats know it's happening and they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
They're spreading it because they want more love from the humans.
This dilemma reminds me of the classic movie Cats vs. Dogs that I'm
That's a
trying
good
to look
one.
up the release date of, but failing at. But I think we all know the hit classic Cats vs. Dogs, where they are intelligent and at war with each other. So this is just the first iteration of biological warfare in the Cats vs. Dog dilemma. The cats really got it up on the dogs right now.
That's
Step
true,
up
because we
your-
don't have a dog parasite that we know of yet.
That we know
That
of.
we know of, right?
Maybe-
I trust dogs.
I do trust dogs too. Maybe that's their game. They have a trusting type
Ooh,
infection.
they're in for the long con.
Mm-hmm. They're playing the
They're
long
trying
game.
to win you over, I think.
All right. Okay. So the question that I saw, because I read a couple articles, like a couple research papers about this, and the question that one of them brought up was, it's a little far-fetched, but what does this mean for our free will?
Yeah, I was thinking about this
If
in like the back
parasites
of
are-
my mind.
If parasites are affecting how we behave, does that mean we're taking any actions because we want to?
Mm-hmm. I have. There's a quote, and I forget who it's by, but the quote goes, "Man can do as he wills, but cannot will what he wills." And that's sort of, the idea is that you can't control what you're interested in and what you like. That is sort of outside of what you can choose. And so, even if it is parasites choosing what I like and enjoy, well, something is. I'm not choosing what I like and enjoy, so Who cares if it's a parasite?
Well, but I guess, yeah. But if this parasite also like makes you more reckless.
Yeah, well, then I will get involved and be upset.
Of course, in terms of things making you more reckless, I mean, even stuff like alcohol can do that.
Mhm.
So
Oh, sure, but that's more of a choice. Like,
Yeah, you're right. I see how that is you can weigh the consequences before.
because most people who have this don't even know.
Yeah.
Like
True.
you'll never know unless you're tested. I think they know if pregnant women have it usually because it's usually transmitted like by eating raw meats or it coming in contact with cat feces
Mhm.
and ingesting it.
As you often, well,
It can happen.
it happens.
It can happen.
But if being a cat owner, you definitely do come into contact with a lot of cat feces.
Right.
can confirm that is true.
And confirm.
So that's why they tell pregnant women not to clean litter boxes because they can get the disease or
The
the
parasite.
parasite. Yeah, the parasite, and it can be transmitted to the child that they are carrying.
They're just
Mm.
born loving cats. But
But a little too to the extreme.
I'm wondering if I have, obscene amounts of money and I really don't like the idea of this parasite, is there a cure? Can I get rid of this cat parasite?
I think there are certain medications you can take to combat it. I don't know if I didn't really look into that. I don't know if there's a cure for it.
I was just wondering if it would be difficult. Because a brain parasite seems like something that would be pretty entrenched and hard to get out.
Well, especially with how widespread it is,
Mhm.
like that you would need to take a large action to several people to actually to
This break is caused by our fellow co-host Ethan walking by and making faces at us through the window into our
don't know.
recording room.
I don't know why he's here.
Which is why I'm glad I can't really see the window, except for I
He's
see your
just-
faces and
he's
I
just
turn.
hanging out.
But
Yeah, that was
Thanks,
a little
Ethan,
distracting.
you're ruining the podcast. But anyways, cats.
What were we saying?
it's just, I mean, the parasite's so widespread.
Oh yes.
I mean, what, 20% of the U.S. you said,
And 60% of Brazil.
which is a lot of people.
50% of the world that they think, because obviously they haven't tested everyone for it, but
And if this is a sort of long-standing parasite that has been, well, people have been in contact with cats for a very long time through human history. And if this is a long-standing thing, this parasite could have fundamentally influenced human culture to be more cat-centric
yeah, just since the beginning,
since
like
the beginning of human-cat relations.
Which makes me
Right.
wonder if it hadn't started, would our culture and society be any different today?
yeah, would we even have cats as a pet?
Would the
I mean-
cat meme be as
No.
far widespread?
I don't
as-
think so.
But people still love cats even without the parasite.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
it is possible to love
Throwing
cats
down
without
on
a
cats.
parasite controlling your
For
brain.
some people.
for some
Yes.
people, sure, yes.
I would even go so far as to say for a lot of people.
Yes, cats are just naturally adorable anyways, so I feel like they would still be in our society.
I think I'd be a cat person because a dog is too needy.
Mhm.
Cats are just kind of like roommates, whereas dogs are pets. That's how I think of
Cats
the
are very
cat dog.
independent,
Yeah.
but then they can be very affectionate when they choose to be. So,
Like, I'm going to do me, you do you over there, cat. We'll
Yep.
just live together.
and they're
I'm,
fine with
I'm
it.
more of a dog person.
Mhm.
I don't dislike cats, but
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever buy one and own one myself.
I do like the idea of a dog more, but in just sort of knowing myself, I would do better with a cat.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a cat almost my whole life, so I'm a little biased towards
Mhm.
cats.
Yeah, I have noticed.
Listeners, write in what you think about having your mind controlled. Write in about in the great cat versus dog debate of 2017, or of human history, really. Let us know what you think, and we might bring it up. And there might be some cat dog follow up on future episodes.
Ooh, not cat dog.
That's a different thing entirely. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with a bit of a game in a few short seconds. And we're back for a little bit of a game that I have ready for my two co-hosts. I haven't been the game master in a while. I like this one. I get to be I get to be the host of the podcast and the game master.
There's just so much power over there.
It's
A lot
so
of
much
depth.
power, so much concentrated, raw power. This game, we are all physics majors,
Yes.
and so I've set up a game where I'm going to pose you each a question, and there will be 3 parts to this question. What I'm going to ask, I'm going to give you a number. This number is a natural constant of the universe, one of the many, and I will give you the number. If you can guess from just the number what constant this is, you'll get 3 points. I will then, if you ask, give you the units of this number. So, kilogram, meters per second, or whatever. If you can get it from the number and the units, you'll get 2 points. And then if you still aren't confident in your answer, I will narrow it down to a multiple choice between 3 possible constants, and you only get 1 point if you answer this one. And so, this is a very elaborate game, but I think it's going to go over well. I don't know who's going to go first. It's going to be Rebecca.
Okay. A little nervous, but we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I don't know how well I'm gonna.
Maybe
do
the first
this.
one will be easy.
The first one, I think, is one you will have heard of and used in calculations. Let's see if you know it off
Okay.
the top of your head. It is 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11th. Walk us through what you're thinking right now.
Well, I
It's
hear
a small number.
6.6, and my first thought is H, but that's not the right.
It is too
Power.
large to be H.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, 6.67. Does this have to do with... I probably can't ask if it has to do with gravity, because I know there's a constant.
It may or may not.
I know there's a gravitational constant that it seems like that could be it, but I'm not 100%. I'm not very confident, so I'd like to hear the units are.
The units are meters cubed per kilogram second squared.
Well, that didn't help at all.
If that doesn't help at all, there's still the multiple choice round.
So if I guess and I'm wrong, I don't get to go to multiple
No
choice?
points will be awarded if you guess and are wrong.
But there's
Oh.
no negative points.
There's no negative
It's
points.
true. I might go for it. I might be
Okay.
completely wrong. I'm going to go with the gravitational constant,
It is,
which I
in fact,
believe is
big G.
G.
The
Yeah.
Newtonian gravitational constant. You could have gotten 3 points if you didn't ask.
If
for
I
the-
wasn't doubting myself.
But
But
good job going for it before going for the multiple choice. That's 2 points to Rebecca.
Yay.
I'm going to write this down, actually. 2 points. I just wrote the number 2, not who it's for. And not even in somewhere. It's just in the middle of all these other words. It's there
Numbers.
somewhere,
it
though.
exists on the page,
Yeah.
so.
Next round goes to Taylor. What is 1.62 times 10 to the negative 35th?
35th.
35th. 1.62 times 10 to the negative 35th. What are
Like,
you
do we need to
thinking
fill
right now?
the
It's a very
thinking
small
time?
number.
I'm thinking that a lot of constants start with something 0.6.
Oh,
and
that
that's-
is a recurring theme, isn't it?
That's
Apparently.
that has been the only thought that has run through my head so far. I don't know. What are the units?
The units are simply meters.
Oh, well, it's not
Can you
what I
tell
thought
me
it
the number
was.
again?
It is 1.62 times 10 to the negative 35th.
So it's a size,
Is a length,
a length,
very small length.
very small length.
I'm going to stop giving hints.
Yeah, she doesn't get to have a whole lot of hints, I feel like, to make it fair.
I guess very small was inherent in the negative 35th.
That's true.
So it's not so much of a hint, but maybe you
I
hadn't
think
thought about
the
it long enough.
silence that we've gotten from this is a good addition to the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the
I hear
silence
how
of
deep in
thinking.
thought. So we will narrow this down to a multiple choice question. Is this Coulomb's constant, the wavelength of light that comes from our very own Diocles laser, or is it the Planck length?
I'm gonna go with
Wow.
B.
You think it is the wavelength of light from Diocles.
Yes.
That is incorrect.
Is
it
it
is
A?
the Planck length.
Oh, it's C.
It's obviously not the Coulomb's constant because that isn't
Right.
even in units
Can't
of
remember
meters.
what that one is.
I don't remember. I'm very sure it's not in meters. Maybe it is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't look that up recently.
Probably
Mm.
not.
But no points awarded. That means Rebecca is still in the lead, but there will be an opportunity to catch back up. Our second question, back to Rebecca.
All right,
We
let's do it.
have 8.85 times 10 to the negative 12th. What is this? What's this number?
Ooh.
This one's pretty
8.85.
hard. Oh, but it is one you have worked with before. That is.
It sounds like some value for some K. Like I remember there was a K for something that was rounded to 9. What was the exponent on that again?
It is 8.85 times 10 to the negative 12th.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I need to hear the units.
It is farads per meter.
Farads per meter. Huh.
I'll say again, this is a number I know for a fact all three of us have worked with in one of our classes before.
I'm sure we have. It seems like I feel like I
Seems
remember
familiar.
writing this down, but I can't remember what it was for.
We write a lot of numbers
There's-
in our day-to-day
there's-
There's
lives.
so many numbers, so many constants to keep track of.
Yeah.
I have no guesses,
We're
so I'm
going
gonna have to
to
go to
go-
multiple choice.
The multiple choice is this: the magnetic flux quantum, the vacuum permeability or magnetic constant, or the vacuum permittivity or electric constant. So those would be mu naught and epsilon naught for A and C.
A and C. I thought those were B and C. What
Yeah.
was
Oh,
A?
yeah, you're right. They are B and C.
What was A again?
A was the magnetic flux quantum.
Okay. I'm gonna say it's probably not that one.
Hmm.
I think I'm just gonna have to. Okay, farads.
So now it's a 50-50.
Now it is 50-50. We'll go with magnetic.
The magnetic
magnetic
constant,
one,
you
mu
are guessing the
naught.
vacuum permeability?
I'm gonna guess that because I cannot remember.
That is not the answer. It
Darn it.
was the vacuum permittivity in farads per meter,
Okay.
8.85 times 10 to the negative 12th. E epsilon naught, something we used a lot in physics too.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we did a lot of like 1 over epsilon naught
Yeah.
with stuff.
To be
and
fair, yeah,
and
you're
so
right.
it just was
I think
kind
that
of,
might have maybe that was the number I was thinking of, like the 1 over that could be written as another constant. That might have been what I was thinking of with that
Used
one.
all over the place when calculating electric fields and charge densities and whatnot. Very important number.
Yes.
But no points awarded to that is a fair point, though. We always use 1 over E naught in the equations.
And a lot of times I've simplified it, so
So Taylor has a good chance to catch back up. You're not out of the running yet. We have our final number. This is the last round. Is 2.07 times 10 to the negative 15th.
0.07.
That's right. 2.07 times 10 to the negative 15th. I would not guess that this is a number you know off the top of your head.
It isn't. I can tell you it's not.
Or have worked with in the past.
oh, that makes it much harder.
Not used it.
hmm
Okay.
So maybe you're just on point on your constants of nature.
Is it so? Are they all physics related?
They are all physics related.
Okay.
Which doesn't narrow it down too much because physics has so many
There's
constants.
like
Right.
a lot of constants,
Right.
which is why we're testing your knowledge of these constants.
See, I'm just imagining equation sheets in my head right now,
Mhm.
and like,
These were all courtesy of Wikipedia.
okay.
So we're hoping they're accurate.
Hopefully, yeah.
I don't know who would go into a Wikipedia article and change the number.
This is, I think, if you choose to go to the units, it will be either very helpful or not helpful at all.
My guess is not helpful at all, but
Okay.
we'll go there.
The units is the Weber or Weber. This is a unit not often used, but is that head shake?
I am unfamiliar.
Okay, we're gonna have to go to the multiple choice
Yep.
then.
Yep.
This is either the Planck temperature, the von Klitzing constant, or the magnetic flux quantum.
Can you tell me what the von Klitzen
I
constant
sure
is?
can't.
Okay. Well, my guess is that one.
The von Klitzing constant. That is incorrect, as
All right.
Weber is the unit of magnetic flux.
That's what it
Alright.
was. I
measured
knew I'd
in
heard
Webers.
it. I could not remember what that
So,
one was.
Rebecca, would you have said the magnetic flux quantum?
What?
Would you have guessed magnetic flux
The
quantum?
fact that you used that for 2 options,
Yeah, well,
I would say probably not.
that's the reverse psychology involved.
It's carefully crafted questions.
With that, we have our winner, Rebecca.
Yay!
Hey, get
2
little
points.
clapping
Woo.
sound effects. Congratulations, you
Thank you.
are the best physicist among us, except for me, because I know all of these. I had the
Because
sheet
you
of
looked them
paper.
up and you have the answers right there.
Yeah, well, I think real physicists have to look up the quant. I watch periodic videos on YouTube, which is some professors at Nottingham, and one of them has a little card, like a business card looking thing in his wallet
With
with
like
a bunch
numbers.
of constants
Well,
on it.
'cause
That's great.
what would memorizing a constant do for you?
That's right. That's the real takeaway point. Physicists don't memorize these constants.
Because
It
we
is-
have the internet
we
and
have-
sheets.
We recognize that it is not
numbers.
important to just know the numbers, but know how to use the numbers. That's what it. That's what's
So-
important in life.
What I'm getting from this is that I'm the real winner here
Yeah.
because I didn't know any of
Taylor
them.
knows to not be wasting this valuable brain space
Hmm.
on random constants. I also think she got the harder questions, but
Yeah,
I didn't
would
make it fair.
agree with that.
with that,
Ridiculous.
that's our time. You've been listening to What's on the Fourth Floor. But what is on the fourth floor?
Really long lists of constants.
Yeah, just written, scrawled all over the walls, like
Because
insane
no one
asylum
remembers
style.
them.
Yeah.
And parasites.
And yeah.
Or the box of
So
parasites.
many cats. It's actually Cat Society that is using the parasites. They're up there doing their equations.
I see a lot of cats around campus.
Hello? If you're still here, it's because you're looking for more. If that's the case, check us out on Facebook at What's on the Fourth Floor and Twitter at OnFloor4. Again, that's Facebook, What's on the Fourth Floor, Twitter at OnFloor4. That's at OnFloor, the number 4.